All right, this video is going to support you with questions number 2 and 3, where you have to find the value of x. You have to find the value of the variable x. So before we get to that, we're going to go over some vocabulary terms. One of the terms is number terms. That refers to pure numbers, only numbers. You have an equal sign in the equation. You will also have a variable and a coefficient. This coefficient is always a number that is attached to your variable. All right. So in equations, you do have a variable that you want to find, and typically it will represent a specific number. But sometimes that variable will be in a relationship. It will be in a relationship with your coefficients. So in this example, we have a coefficient of 2. That's in a relationship with the variable x. That coefficient is telling you that you have 2 multiples of x. So that relationship is held by the operation of multiplication. Once again, the coefficient and variable are held together through multiplication. With that idea, we can go ahead and look at some examples. So let me go down to another example. In this example, we have a coefficient of 4 and a variable x. These two are in a relationship through multiplication. So 4 and x are in a relationship through multiplication because the 4 tells you that you have 4 multiples of x. And as you can see in the image, we have 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 multiples. The x and the coefficient can also be in a different type of relationship, and that's through division. So for example, this x and that 2 are in a relationship through division. This says that you have split your x into 2 pieces and you only have 1 piece. I'm going to show you another example. In this example, x is split or divided again. It's in a relationship with 3. X is in a relationship with 3 through division. It tells you that you have 3 pieces and you only have 1 piece of those 3. All right. With that idea, we're going to go ahead and learn about the equations and kind of identify what's going on inside the equations. The equations typically have operations and relationships, and we need to understand those. Looking at our first example, I will be asking you 2 sets of questions. So our example says 5x plus 8 is equal to negative 12. So the first question I will be asking you is, from the equation, do we have an operation of addition or subtraction? So looking at this, do we have any type of operation that involves addition or subtraction? I hope that you were able to notice that we actually do. We have the operation of addition right there. So my follow-up question to that is, what number is involved with that addition operation? And you guys are correct. Addition of 8 is what's happening within that equation. The operation of addition is involved with the number 8. It's adding 8. The next question I'll be asking you is, in the marriage between our coefficient and the variable, so let's go ahead and identify those. In the marriage between the coefficient, the number in front of the variable, and the variable, what operation is holding them together? Is it multiplication or is it division? So what's holding that 5 and that x together? I hope you're able to notice that's actually multiplication. That's holding this 5 and that x together, because this is representing 5 multiples of x. And I'll even draw the image really quickly. It's representing that. All right. Now that we observed what's going on in the equation, we can go ahead and solve the equation. And when you solve an equation, all you're really doing is just organizing numbers with numbers on one side of the equal sign. And you're keeping your variable alone. That is the objective. To solve an equation, you're technically just organizing numbers with numbers and keeping your variable alone. That's the end goal. That's how you solve an equation. So let's go ahead and solve this equation of 5x plus 8 is equal to negative 12. All right. We're going to go ahead and start looking at what we notice first. And what we notice is that we're adding by 8. So what I have to do is I have to do the opposite to move that 8 over to the negative 12 side. So let me establish some directions. This is the left and this will be the right. So I want to move the 8 over with the negative 12. And eventually I also want to do that same thing to 5. But let's go ahead and move the number 8 by doing the opposite of the operation, which is subtract 8 to the left side. And then once again, you learn that the equal sign wants everything balanced. So whatever you did to the left side, you have to do it to the right side. If it helped, you can definitely cut the equal sign in two pieces, as in left and right. Let me cut it a little bit nicer. Okay, at this point, you have to observe what's going on in the left side. You have plus 8 minus 8. That definitely goes to 0. It no longer exists. You have successfully moved over the 8. And by the way, there's a typo right there. It should have been 8 minus 8 right there. Sorry about that. Now we were successful in at least isolating the coefficient and the variable. So all I have to do now is rewrite 5x, because 5x plus 0 is just 5x. You no longer have numbers there, besides the 5. The equal sign drops down. And over here you have negative 12 minus 8. And if you use the t-chart or even the calculator, you'll see that you're getting more negative because both of them are in the negative side. That means you get a negative 20. All right. So at this point, you have to go back to what you observed regarding the relationship between 5 and x. And we said that it was multiplication that was holding the 5 and the x together. And remember, our objective is to find out what x is equal to. We want to find out what x is equal to. In other words, we're trying to organize this equation, so that we just have x by itself and a number on the opposite side of the equal sign. So I need to undo that marriage between 5 and x. And to undo that marriage, I'm going to go ahead and use the opposite of the operation that's holding them together. And that's going to be dividing by 5. And remember, that equal sign is very, very strict in keeping things balanced. So whatever I did to the left side, I also got to do it to the right side. So I got to divide this negative 20 by 5. And now my 5 divided by 5 goes away into 1. So I just am left over with 1x. 1x. My equal sign drops down because it never goes away. And now I'm left with negative 20 divided by 5. If I plug this in my calculator, remember the top always goes first. So plug it in your calculator like this. And you're dividing, because fractions represent division, and you're dividing by 5. And that will give you that x is really equal to negative 4. So my solution for x, or my x value, is actually negative 4. So my answer would be negative 4. And this negative 4 can be plugged in back into the equation, and you can double check it. It will definitely give you negative 12. So anyways, I'll cut it short on this video, and I'll just do another example.